Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So water to orange is 3-2. Ooh. We've got water here and we've got orange squash here. And we're told that we've got 80 centilitres of orange. So we've got 80 here. And we're asked to find the amount of water required. So what we do is we figure out how to get from 2 to 80. Well, we're going to times by 40. If I times that side of the ratio by 40, I've got to times the left-hand side by 40 as well. 3 times 40 is 120. So I'm going to need 120 centilitres of water. To answer this question, we need to cut this shape into two shapes. So we're going to draw a line across here, and we're going to cut it into a rectangle and a triangle. Now we need to first of all label the parts of the triangle. So the length or the width of the triangle, the base, will be the same as the base at the bottom, so that will be 20 centimetres. And we need to find the height, which is this length here, which is 90 degrees to the base. And to find that, what we can look at is the fact that the total height of the whole thing is 13, and the height of the bit we don't want is 11. So what's left over? Well, 2 centimetres will be left over, so the height will be 2 centimetres of the triangle. So let's work out the area of the triangle first. Which is going to be half times base times height. Half times the base, which is 20, times the height, which is 2, will just give us 20. Now let's work out the area of the rectangle. And that's just going to be the width times the length. Width is 20, the length is 11, so that would be 220. Then to work out the total area of the whole thing, we're just going to add those together. So 220 plus 20, which is 240. The units are all in centimetres, and so the area units will be centimetres squared. To find the surface area of the cuboid, I'm just going to label the faces and do them individually. So we've got A, which is 24 by 13. So we're going to do 24 times 13, which is 312. Next we're going to do B, which is this one at the top, and it's 24 across and 8 is the length. So 24 times 8, which is 192. And finally C on this side here, which is going to be 13 times 8, which is 104. Now notice that the faces all have the exact same face on the opposite side. So this one at the back is also A, this one at the side is also C, and the one at the bottom is also B. So what I'm going to do is add up all the areas of the squares and double it. So to work out the surface area, we're going to do 2 times and then 312 plus 192 plus 104. And that will give me 1,216 centimetres cubed squared, because it's an area. For mutually exclusive events for A and B, the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B. Now we're given the probability of A or B, which is 0.36. And we're given the probability of A, which is 0.12. And so to work out the probability of B, all we need to do is solve this. We're just going to take away 0.12 from both sides. and that will give us 0.24 is equal to the probability of B. So B must be 0.24. It only works if A and B are mutually exclusive though. I'm going to first of all work out how many parts there are in total. So we've got James with 9 parts, 6 for Andy, and 7 for Tia. So in total we've got 9 plus 6 plus 7, which is 22 parts in total. And we're asked to find a fraction Tia receives. Now Tia is the last one, so she is receiving the 7 parts. So it's 7 out of 22. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, new amount, represents 113% because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13. And we get 99. So 1% represents £99. So 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%. So we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. To divide mixed numbers, we need to convert them to improper fractions first. And to do that, we just do the big number times by the bottom and add it to the top. So 2 times 5, which is 10, and added to the top, which will be 13, over 5. And the bottom, the denominator, stays the same. Divided by, and we're going to do 1 times 2, which is 2, add to the top, and we get 3. So it becomes 3 over 2. Then we're going to keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change the sign. So it becomes 13 over 5 times, and then we're going to flip that, so it's going to be 2 over 3, times the tops would be 26, times the bottom, which would be 15. Now 26 over 15, there are 1/15s that go into 26, so that'd be a big 1, and that leaves a remainder of 11, so it'd be 11 over 15. So our answer would be 1 and 11 over 15. There are a few different ways of finding out product of prime factors. I prefer using the bubble technique, so we just write the number out and we put a bubble around it, and we split that number into 2 numbers. So we find 2 numbers that multiply together to make that number. Now, I always pick the smallest that I can on the left-hand side. Now, the smallest I can think of is 2. And so 2 times 22 is 44. And now we think about 22, and that's 2 times 11. Now you might be thinking, why have I put the 2's in red? The reason why I've put them in red is they are prime numbers. We can't do another thing for the 2. Well, we can, it would be 2 and 1, but we'd be there all day doing 2's and 1's off the 2's. So we leave it as they are, and 11 actually is a prime number itself. So if I'm going to keep up with the theme, I can have that in red as well. Now, notice it says product of prime factors. So the prime factors are 2, 2 and 11. But the word product means times. So it's 2 times 2 times 11. Notice they're in ascending order. So it's 2 times 2 times 11. Now, if we were asked to do it in index form, we would write it as 2 squared times 11. So in this question, we basically need to add the 2 3/4 and the 2 2/5. So we're going to do 2 3/4 plus 2 2/5.
Now if I just rewrite this, 2 3/4 can be written as 2 plus 3/4 plus 2 plus 2 1/5, or 2/5. So we can add the two 2's together to make 4, and then all we need to do is add the 3/4 and the 2/5. So when you add two numbers with different denominators, what we need to do is get the common denominators. And we do that by just quickly writing out the 4 and the 5 times table and seeing what the first number in both their times tables is. 16, 20, and 5, 10, 15, 20. So that's 20. So we need to get the bottoms of the fractions to 20. Now for 3/4, to get the bottom to equal 20, we need to times the 4 by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top, so times that by 5 as well, which will be 15. And for 2/5, we'll get that bottom to 20, so we times that by 4. And so we've got to times the top by 4 as well, to make it 8. So it's going to be 15 over 20 plus 8 over 20. So we need to add the numerators. So it would be 15 plus 8, which is going to be 23 over 20. Now that is a top-heavy fraction, so we can rewrite that as 1 and 3/20. And we can add the 4 and the 1 together to make 5 and 3/20. So the answer is 5 and 3/20. To find the exterior angle of any polygon, we do 360 divided by the amount of sides. These are decagons, which means they have 10 sides. So the exterior angles will be 36 degrees. And the exterior angle is just an angle that kind of continues on. You just continue on from the side. So this one here is the exterior angle of the left-hand decagon, and this one here is the exterior angle on the right-hand decagon. So altogether, the angle A will be 36 plus 36, which will be 72. So our answer will be 72 degrees. So we're looking to write a formula for the cost in pounds of hiring a microwave for X amount of days. So the cost is C, so it's going to be C equals, and it says it's going to be 55 pence a day. Now it wants the answer in pounds, so we need to convert this 55 pence into pounds. So that's going to be 0.55, and it's going to be 0.55 times the amount of days. Well, it says the amount of days is X, so it's going to be 0.55x. Then it says that there's just a one-off cost of £15, so you're going to have to pay £15 regardless. So we're just going to add 15 onto that. So the answer would be C equals 0.55x plus 15. We've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether in our ratio. So we've got 51 saying yes, 7 saying no, and 13 undecided. So altogether, we've got 51 plus 7 plus 13, which is 71 parts. Now each part is equal. So to find out the value of one part, we're going to do how many students there are, which is 2,911, and divide it by the 71 to find out what one part is worth. How many students are in one part? One part's worth 41 students. So each one of those parts in the ratio is 41 students. Now yes, because it goes yes, no, undecided, yes will be the 51 there. So it's 51 lots of 41 students. 51 parts with each part representing 41 students. And when you multiply those together, you get 2,091. So our answer is that 2,091 students responded with yes. So we're going to start off with x equals 0, and we're going to write out this equation but with 0 every time it says x. So it's going to be y equals 0 squared minus 0 plus 10. Well, 0 squared is just 0, so 0 take away 0 is just 0, plus 10 is just going to be 10.
So the answer there will be 10. Do the same for 1. So it will be 1 squared minus 1 plus 10. Well, 1 squared is 1. 1 take away 1 is 0. Plus 10 is 10. So that will also be 10. 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. 2 squared is 4. 4 take away 2 is 2. Plus 10 will be 12. Now we're going to do the negative. So we're going to look at minus 1. So it's y equals minus 1 squared. And it's going to be minus 1 plus 10. So a little bit more complicated here. Minus 1 squared is just 1. Now here you have two negatives together. When you have two negatives together, it makes a plus. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 10, which is going to be 12. And then we'll do the minus 2. So it'd be minus 2 squared minus 2 plus 10. So minus 2 squared is 4. The two minuses here make a plus. So it'd be plus 2, which would be 6, plus 10 will be 16. So we're going to plot these on our graph. And so we've got minus 2 is at 16, so that'll be there. Minus 1 is at 12, which should be here. 0 is at 10, 1 is at 10, and 2 is at 12. Okay, when you join this up, things to be aware of is you need to make sure that you have a round U at the bottom and not a flat bottom. Okay, so you want to avoid a flat bottom. You also want to make sure that you avoid feathering like that. You want just one nice smooth line. And my recommendation is always to turn the page on its side. I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to try my best with this. But you need to make sure it goes through all the points. And here's the part here where it goes beneath those 2 points. So make sure it goes beneath those 2 points. On most exams, I see them, basically what they do is they draw a line across from those 2 points and say that the line needs to go beneath that, or your curve needs to go beneath that line. So they're looking out that you've gone beneath the line. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. To work out the mass, we will need to find the density and the volume. Density is given to us in the question, but volume isn't. So we need to work out what the volume of this cuboid is. So the volume is just the 33 times the 7 times the 22. So that would be 5,082, and that would be centimetres cubed. And we need to write down the formula for density. So density is the mass divided by the volume. So rearrange this to get mass on its own, because that's the thing we're looking for. So mass equals density times volume. Density is given to us in the question as 2.1 grams per centimetres cubed. Times that by the 5,082 for the volume, and we get the answer of 10,672. And then that will give us grams, because our density is in grams, so that is grams, but the answer is asking for kilograms. So to convert that to kilograms, we just divide by 1,000 and we get 10.672. Then we need to round that to 2 decimal places, and so that would be 10.67 kilograms. So we know that 171 is 3 times 3 times 19. And what we do is we just compare 171 with 342. And we know that 171 times 2 is 342. So therefore 342 will have the same prime factors as 171, which is 3 times 3 times 19, but it will also have a times 2 in there. So the answer will be 2 times 3 times 3 times 19. So the first thing we're going to do is write this as a ratio between the fractions. So we're going to have green to black. Now it says that a quarter of the counters are black, and therefore the remaining counters will be green. So if a quarter are black, that leaves 3/4 to be green. And what we can do here is on both sides of the ratio, what I'm going to do is just times it by 4. So I'm just going to times 4 both sides. So 3 divided by 4 times 4, because over 4 just means divided by 4. So 3 divided by 4 times by 4 just gets rid of the fraction. And 1 divided by 4 times 4 is just going to be 1. Now this might surprise some people because they will probably think it's a ratio of 4 to 1. But we can show here that it's a ratio of 3 to 1. So we're going to write out the question again just to give us a bit more space. And we're going to put in our tramline so we can solve it. Now we're going to solve this in exactly the same way as if it was an equation with an equals in the middle. One slight difference though is if you times or divide by a negative, you've got to flip the sign, but hopefully we won't do that. Now the rule when you've got x's on both sides is you get rid of the smaller amount. So we're going to get rid of that 4x from both sides. We're going to take away 4x both sides. And so we're going to have 3x plus 8 is greater than 23. And then we're just going to solve this normally. So take away 8 both sides. And that will give us 3x is greater than 15. And then we're going to divide the 3 both sides. And that will be x is greater than 5. There's 2 parts to this power. I'm just going to do it a bit bigger so we can see. We've got the negative here, and the negative will mean that we will find the reciprocal. And we've got this 3 here, which is just what the power will be. So, how do we find the reciprocal? Well, if you think about the number 10, if you had to write that as a fraction, you would write it as 10 over 1. And so, to find the reciprocal of it, we're just going to flip that fraction. So this will now become 1 over 10. We haven't dealt with that cube yet. So we're going to cube top and bottom with that fraction. Well, it's not going to do anything to the top because 1 cubed is just 1. But the bottom will turn into 1,000. So it's going to be 1 over 1,000. In this question we have a right angle triangle and we know 2 of the sides and we're looking for the third one. So that screams to me Pythagoras. So Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, with c squared being the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the one opposite the right angle, so this is going to be c. And we'll label the other ones a and b, it doesn't matter which way around they go. So a is 5, so it'd be 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144. And so 25 plus 144 is 169. Now that's c squared, so we need to solve here. And the way to solve is just to square root both sides. And so it would be 13 equals c. Because it's distance, we don't worry about the negative 13, so just the positive 13. So we know c is 13. So we need to know what the total length around the triangle is. So we're going to add the 5, the 12, and the 13 we've just found. When you do that, you get 30. So we know there's 30 meters in total. Now it does say that we need 90 milliliters of paint per meter of wood. So the amount of paint needed is going to be the 30, because that's the total distance, times the 90, because we need 90 for every meter of paint. 3 times 9 is 27, and then put the 2 zeros at the end. So the answer is 2,700 milliliters. So we're looking for the acceleration between 3 and
5 seconds. And acceleration is calculated by the change in velocity. So we're going to see how much the velocity's changed. So it started at 90 and it's gone up to 200, so that would be 110, over the time. Now the time is 2 seconds, so it's going to be 110 divided by 2, which is 55. And the units will be the meters per second, because that's kilometers, sorry, that's velocity, per second, or meters per second squared. And so it's 55 meters per second squared. First thing we notice is that there is a square here, so we can work out what this length is going to be. It's also going to be 40 centimeters. And whenever we're working out the area of a shaded area, we're normally working out the area of two shapes and subtracting one from the other. And this question's really no different. So we're going to start off working out the area of the square. And all we need to do now for that is 40 times 40, which will be 1,600 centimeters squared. I normally only put units in our answer. The next thing we're going to do is work out the area of the circle, but to do that we need to work out what the diameter of the circle is, and if you notice that the diameter of the circle is just 40 degrees. It's the same as the width of the square, or height of the square. So if the diameter is 40 degrees, the radius would be 20 degrees. So for the circle, for the area of the circle, we're going to do pi times the radius, which is 20 squared, and 20 squared would be 400, so this will be 400 pi. This question's asking us to leave it in terms of pi, so we're going to do that. Now next we're going to work out the all of the corners, so that includes these three here and this one. So I'll say, like, I don't know, 4 corners. Just try and explain to the person marking my exam what I'm doing. And to do that, we're just going to do the square, take away the circle. So 1,600, take away 400 pi. Now we can't actually do anything more than that. That is our answer. So it's just, we just leave it at that. And to work out just the shaded bit, which is this bit here, they are 4 equal amounts that we've got for these corners. So just one corner, which is the shaded bit, will be the 4 corners divided by 4. Now we've got a kind of fraction here. We can divide all of the terms by 4. So that will leave 1 at the bottom, 100 pi here. And this will be 1,600 divided by 4 is 400. So we're just cancelling the fraction, and actually we leave it as 400 minus 100 pi. And that indeed is our answer. You can't simplify that any further. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. There is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle, and put the lengths as 1, not right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here, and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1, and h is going to be root 2. Now this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet, or you aren't doing surds, is you times top 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see
1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. So we've got to first of all understand what standard form is, and standard form is a number that is between 1 and 10, but not including 10, times 10 to the power of another number. So to find out what the numbers are going to be for our standard form, we're going to just write down the decimal first, so 0.098. And we've got to put a decimal point in somewhere to make this a number between 1 and 10. So if I put it in here, that would make it 9.8, and we're ignoring the zeros to the left-hand side. So we know that our standard form is going to start off with 9.8 times 10 to the power of something. Now this times 10 is always going to be there. It's never divided by 10 or anything like that. It's always times 10. Next, we've got to find out what the power is going to be. So first of all, if it's a small number, if it's a number less than 1, which this is, it's a small number, it's going to be a negative power. And the next thing we do is work out how many jumps we have to do. So it would be 1, 2 jumps between where the decimal point was and where it is now. So 2 jumps means it's going to be to the power of -2. When we multiply numbers, it doesn't actually matter which order we multiply them. So I can actually rewrite this as 7 times 9 times 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 9. 7 times 9 is 63. And 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 9, we add the powers, so it'd be 10 to the power of 11. Now here we've got a problem. It looks like standard form, but it is not standard form. Because standard form has to be a number between 1 and 10, but not including 10. And here we've got 63. So what I'm going to do is just quickly write out what number this is. So we've got the decimal point here. And you don't need to do this, but I find it a bit easier to show what we're doing. So here we've got 10 to the power of 11. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We fill these all out with zeros, and that's the number we've created here. A lot of zeros. Now, to make it a number between 1 and 10, not including 10, the decimal point, it needs to be here. So we want that to end up with 6.3 times 10 to the power of, well, let's work that out now. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 12. Now you don't need to do all the working out I've just shown there. You just need to know when you convert that 63 into a 6.3, you need to add 1 to the power. So there are two outcomes that it will rain once in the next 2 days, and that will be rain and not rain, and not rain and rain. So to work out the probability, it will rain on Monday and then not rain on Tuesday. What you're going to do is just multiply 6 over 20 by the 2 over 7. So 6 over 20 times 2 over 7. And that will give us 12 over 140. And to work out the probability, it will not rain on Monday and rain on the Tuesday. We're just going to multiply the 14 over 20 by the 5 over 7. And so that would be 14 over 20 times 5 over 7. And that will give us, 70 over 140. Now we're looking for the probability it will rain and not rain, or not rain and rain. The word or in probability means add, so we're going to get that 12 over 140 and add it to the 70 over 140, and that will give us 82 over 140, and then we can cancel that down to 41 over 70. This question relies on the fact that you know what the equation of a circle is. And the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Now r is the radius of the circle. So when I rewrite this and I write it with our 16 there, we can actually rewrite 16 as 4 squared.
Okay, comparing this equation to this equation, we can see that r is 4. Now, this equation, the x squared plus y squared equals r squared, gives a circle with the centre at 0, 0, at the origin. So, it means that the radius will be 4, so the circle will go all the way up here, all the way across here, all the way down here, and all the way across here. Now, I am really, really bad at drawing circles, and so what I would recommend you do is use a compass and measure out 4 and join these up. I'm going to try my best. I don't have a compass that works with this graphics tablet, but I'm going to try and draw somewhat of a circle. There we are. That's probably the best circle I'm going to draw. So what you do is you just get a compass and put the point at 0, and then you would measure out 4 units. So measure it between the 0 and the 4, and then just draw a perfect circle round. To find the interquartile range from a cumulative frequency graph, you first of all see what the graph goes up to. Here you can see it goes up to 20. And what we do is we halve that, and that's the value we use to find the median. So we halve that again, and that's the value we find for the lower quartile, which will be 5. Then you add the 5 to the 10, so the number we use for the lower quartile to the number we use for the median, and we get 15. So those are the 2 points there that we will find our quartiles. So we draw a line across to find our lower quartile, a line across and down, and I think that is roughly, I think 22 roughly. We do the same again for our upper quartile, line across and down, and that's roughly, I mean these are going up in 4s, so maybe 37, because this line here would be 36, so that would be 37. So to find the interquartile range, it is interquartile range, let's do the formula, is the upper quartile take away the lower quartile. Upper quartile is 37, lower quartile we said is 22, and so 37 take away 22 is going to be 15. Now if you've got slightly different values, that's absolutely fine. The exam will always give a bit of leeway, especially when reading off graphs. So to do a cumulative frequency graph, we've got to first of all add a cumulative frequency column to our table. And cumulative frequency is just a running total. So we always start off with the first value, which is 10. Then we add the next value. So 10 plus 25 is 35. Then we add the next value. So that's going to be 50. Now, the cumulative frequency is the total amount so far. So for that first 10, for the frequency of cumulative frequency of 10, we're looking at everything up until the 20. So we plot it at the 20, so it'd be 20 and then 10, so this one here. Then the next one, the 35, is everything up until 40, so it would be here. And then the next one is everything up until 60. There we are. Now, next we want to join them up. Now you can draw them up with a curve, and in most exams you can actually join them up with straight lines. So something you can do is just join them up with, click the right one, straight lines like that. And on most exams that's absolutely fine. I'm going to join them up with a curve. There we go. Now technically I should really finish this off with a nice straight bit there, because there's just a constant 50 forevermore. So when we find the mean of something, we add the elements together and we divide them by the amount of elements. So here we've got 3 elements. So what we're going to do is add these together and then divide by 3. Now the problem is that the denominators are not the same, so we can't add them yet. But they're all factors of 45. So we're going to times top and bottom of the first one by 9. So we end up with 9k over 45. Times the top and bottom by 3. And so it would be 3 brackets k plus 1 over 45. And the last one is over 45, so we don't need to do anything for that. Then we can just add the numerators together. And I'm just going to expand the bracket here, so it's 3k plus 3 plus k plus 4. And then all of that over 45. And then we're going to do 9k plus 3k plus k, which is going to be 13k. And then 3 plus 4, which is just 7 over 45. So the sum of them is 13k plus 7 over 45. So to work out the mean, we need to divide it by 3. But instead of writing divide by 3, we know KFC, keep, flip, change. If you have a division, you keep the first fraction, you change the divide into a times, and you flip the second fraction. So a different and easier way of writing that is times 1/3. So here we just keep the numerator the same because we're timesing it by 1. And then the bottom we just times by the 3, which would be 135. So our answer is 13k plus 7 over 135. The bottom of the fraction in the power tells us the root that we're going to do, and the top is just the power. So the top is just a normal power, but the bottom will tell us what root we're going to do. So I'm going to write out this fraction again. So 1 over 125. And I'm going to deal with that bottom first. So I'm going to leave that power of 2 on the outside. What that root is going to do is it's going to find the cube root of the numbers at the top and bottom. Now the cube root of 1 is just 1, and the cube root of 125 is 5. Now that power, the 2 on the outside, what that's going to do is it's just going to put both of them to the power of 2. So 1 squared is going to be 1, and 5 squared is 25. We can write the equation of any linear graph as y equals mx plus c. So m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. So we've got to find what the gradient and the y-intercept are. Well, I'm going to first of all try and figure out what the gradient is, because we're actually given some clues here. We're told that the line is perpendicular to the equation given. Now I'm going to rewrite this a little bit just to make it a bit clearer what the gradient of this is. So I'm going to write this as minus 1 over 12. I'm just going to leave a bit more of a gap there. Minus 1 over 12 x plus 12. And you can see that the number before the x, the coefficient of the x, is minus 1 over 12. But we're not told that it's parallel to that, so it's not the equation that we've got is not going to have the gradient as minus 1 over 12. We're told it's perpendicular. Now, when two things are perpendicular, to find the gradient of the other one, if we know one of them, you've got to change the sign and find the reciprocal of the fraction. So to find our gradient, we're going to change the sign, so it's negative, so our gradient is going to be positive, and we're going to flip it. We're going to find the reciprocal. Reciprocal of 1 over 12 will be 12 over 1, or just 12. So the gradient of our line is going to be 12. To find the y-intercept, we're going to use the points given to us. So we've got x equals 3 and y equals 4 for a point on our line. We're going to substitute those into the equation we've got. So it's going to be 40 equals 12 times 3 plus c. Put in our solving lines. 12 times 3 is 36. And we're going to take away that 36 both sides. So it's going to be 4 equals c, or c equals 4. So our equation will be y equals 12x plus 4. We're going to first of all get x equal to the 0.151151 blah blah blah. And what we need to do is we need to pull
all of the recurring numbers in front of the decimal point, or at least one instance of them. So I need to times it by 1,000. So we're going to do that. Times it by 1,000, and we'll get 151.151.151, blah, blah, blah. What we're going to do now is we're going to subtract going downwards. So 1000x take away x would be 999x, and then 151.151.151, etc. Take away 0.151.151, etc. will just be 151. Get our solving lines in, because the next thing we're going to do is divide both sides by 999. And so we end up with x equals 151 divided by 999, or over 999. And that's our answer. So if the area of the rectangle is 10 and one of the lengths is root 75, to find the other length we do the area divided by the length given, and that will work out what the other length is. Root 75 though is something that can be simplified, so let's simplify that. And it's root 25 root 3, so it's 5 root 3. So this equals 10 over 5 root 3. Now notice top and bottom can be simplified, so that becomes 2 over root 3. And we're asked to rationalise the denominator, so we're going to times this by root 3 over root 3, and so we end up with 2 root 3 over 3. So our answer is 2 root 3 over 3. So we would need to first of all factorise the quadratic on the right hand side, or on the left hand side, and we'll end up with 2 sets of brackets equals 0. And so to do that, what we do is we multiply the coefficient of the x squared and the number on its own. And we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to make that number. And so 20 times negative 6 is going to be negative 120. And we're also looking for the same two numbers to add up to the coefficient of the x. So we need the numbers to add together to make that 7. And so just thinking about it, they both need to be opposite signs because they've multiplied together to make a negative. And they're not too different, though. They've got a difference of 7, so it's going to be minus 8 and 15, I think. And that is correct. And you can write out the factors of 120 or minus 120 and add them all together to find out which one adds together to make 7. We're going to copy out the quadratic on the left-hand side, but this time, instead of writing plus 7x, we're going to write plus 15x. Minus 8x, and I'd recommend you always put the negative first, but I'm going to show you here what happens if you don't put the negative first. So I'm going to highlight the first two terms because we're going to factorise those, and we're going to factorise the second two terms separately. So this is going to be 5x, we can divide out both of those, so that will be 4x plus 3. And the negative needs to be on the outside, so we've got a minus there, and 8 and 6 will be minus 2, so that will be 4x plus 3, because minus 2 plus 3 is minus 6. The repeating bracket is going to be our second bracket, so 4x plus 3, and the bit on the outside, 5x minus 2, be our first bracket, so 5x take away 2 will be our first bracket. Put that into our equation, and to solve this now we get the first bracket equal to 0, so we're going to get this equal to 0 and solve it. So get our lines down. To start by adding 2 to both sides, and then we're going to divide by 5. And we can show that as a fraction just by doing 2 over 5. So our first solution is 2/5. We'll do exactly the same thing to the other side. So we're going to get it equal to 0. Get our lines down. And we're going to subtract 3 both sides. That'd be 4x equals minus 3. And we're going to divide by 4 both sides to get x equals. So x equals, that'd be negative 3 over 4. So our other solution is minus 3/4. So we're told in the question that y is inversely proportional to the cube of x. So we can show that by y is proportional, there's proportionality, inversely, which would be 1 over the cube of x. Now to convert that alpha, the proportionality symbol, into an equals, we need to introduce a constant to the right hand side. So we get y equals k over x cubed, and all I've done to the right hand side is multiplied it by k. Okay, now we need an instance where we know what y is when x is something, and here we do have that, or it should be the other way around. What y is, well, yeah, what y is when x is something. So we've got y is 10 and x is 7. So we're going to feed those numbers into this kind of equation that we've made. So it's going to be 10 equals k over 7 cubed, or 10 equals k over 343. Okay. And then we're going to multiply both sides by the 343. So times by 343 both sides to find out what k is. And I'm just going to swap them around just to give myself a bit more space. And we're going to have k on the left hand side here. So that'd be 3,430. So k is 3,430. So what I'm going to do is just rewrite this equation here. But we know what k is now. So it's y equals 3,430 over x cubed. And that actually is our answer. So at the point on the graph where x is 12, it's this point here. And what you need is a ruler. And what you're going to do is rest it on so it becomes the tangent of that point. So I'm going to try my best to do it here. I'm just going to draw it out, and this is going to be my ruler. And I'm just going to move this into place. So we want that to be a tangent at x equals 12, which is about here. And then what you do is work out what the gradient of that line is. So I'm just going to draw a line across and up. And we know that gradient is the change in y over change in x. The change in y is 2, and the change in x is 1. 2 divided by 1 is just 2. So the gradient at x equals 12 is 2. Now notice it says x equals 12. It's a curve, so the gradient's constantly changing, but an estimate of the gradient at that point is roughly 2. And you just need to make sure you rest the ruler down, and then until you're happy with it, draw the line like I've done with the blue line, and then just work out the gradient of that. And if you just show all your working, show the examiner how you've come up with the value, even if your gradient's slightly off, you might still even be able to get full marks on some of the papers, if not 1 out of the 2 marks maybe. So I'm going to first of all just draw out the diagram a bit bigger, just so we've got a bit more space. And we're looking at going from B to M, and M is about here. Now the first thing to notice with M, and I'm just going to quickly label the other parts on, is that the ratio of A to M is 1 and M to C is 4. So the ratio is 1 to 4 between the two. And what is really helpful sometimes is just to label in the kind of section. So if A to M is 1 section, we've got 4 of the sections from M to C. So just put little notches there to show the 4 sections. And we can see straight away that A to M is 1/5 of that distance. And that's why it's a nice, easy way to show that A to M is 1/5 of that distance. Let's just put a nicer 5, there we go. And so we're looking at going from B to M, but we can't go directly from B to M. We've got to go from B to A to M, and that's going to be the direction of travel. Now, we don't know the name of the road
between A and M. In fact, we don't know the name of the road between A and C. We've got to first of all work out what that's called. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from A to C by going down here and then up here. So we can find out A to C is going to be going backwards down A, then up B. Now A to M is going to be 1/5 of A to C. Now if A to C is minus A plus B, that means A to M is going to be minus 1/5 A plus 1/5 B. Now we're asked for the vector B to M, and we know that that's going to be B to A plus A to M. We know B to A because it's labelled, it's just A. And we know A to M because we've worked it out down here. And it should be minus, let's get rid of that, because we know it's going to be minus 1/5 A plus 1/5 B. And so A minus 1/5 A is going to be 4/5 A. And then we've got the 1/5 B. So it's going to be 4/5 A plus 1/5 B.
You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.